that both of them used to play tennis together. This refers to their common passion for tennis. And the fact is that they played together from very young age, because Jaidip was the #1 junior in Calcutta and our Rahul was the #1 junior in Delhi. Then, of course, after that, Jaidip went on to a full career in cricket. Rahul became this great journalist dealing in different kinds of rackets. And then they met again in the August grounds of the International Lawn Tennis Association. When I spoke to Jaidip and asked him about his association with Khushwant Singh, he said, well, and I'm sorry, Gopalakrishnan is going to be their referee. And so when I asked Jaidip about Khushwant Singh, he said, I first heard about Khushwant Singh a great deal from my family, and afterwards I had the privilege of playing with him at the Delhi gym. And I found him a man who was very humble and with a great sense of humor. So I would like to tell you an incident from my days with Khushwant Singh at the Illustrated Weekly, that every afternoon at 4 o'clock, he would pick up his basta and walk off to the Bombay Gymkhana for a game of tennis. And he loved to say this story, that I always boast that I can beat my son at tennis. But I would never reveal the fact that that was when he was one stripling lad and I was in my prime. So now over to these two gentlemen.
Come sit there, yeah. I'll sit somewhere there and Gopal will, where's Gopal? Yeah, come. You going to do the introductions or shall I say something? I'll say a few words. No, I think you sit there next to Jaidip. Jaidip, you sit on the side and I'll sit here. Okay. Well, first of all, welcome Jaidip Mukerjea, a legend in tennis. He's written his memoirs, which are also available here, which he'll happily sign. And there was a time when Indian tennis was amongst the best in the world. And in the book, he mentions 1966 was the key year when India reached the challenge round of the Davis Cup. And the team at that time was Jaidip Mukerjea, Premjit Lal, Ramanathan Krishnan. I think three of the best players that India has produced of that generation. Ramanathan Krishnan was India's #3. Of course, this was world's #3, world's #3, Ramanathan Krishnan was, and he reached the semi-finals of Wimbledon twice. Jaidip has been in the last 16 of all the Grand Slams, I think, yeah. And I think quarterfinals in Wimbledon 1 year of the doubles. Quarterfinals of Wimbledon twice in the doubles. But 1066 was the year when we reached the challenge round, and Jaidip and Krishnan in the doubles beat Newcomb and Roche, who were the Grand Slam champions of every Grand Slam doubles champion. One of the greatest victories of Indian sport. And in the earlier round, they had beaten Germany, I remember. So, Gopal, you'd like to say a few words, and then I could ask a few questions also. I'll ask some questions, you ask some questions, okay? So one of the questions that I want Jaidip to answer, what happened to Indian tennis between those glory days and now, where we are struggling to get into the world group?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope you can hear me. First of all, I would like to thank Rahul and Nilofer for inviting Charmaine and me here for this Khushwant Singh kslitfest. It's a great honor to be here among our august company. And I'm not much of an author, but I thought I'll write something about my memoirs because no one from our generation has written anything about tennis, how we traveled, how we suffered, what it was those days. So that's it. So again, sorry, coming back to your question. Well, tennis out of the racket sports at the 60s and 70s was the number one racket sport compared to badminton and table tennis, and that was thanks to Ramanathan Krishnan. Well, he was a great, today in my opinion, I feel he's one of the greatest sportsmen we have produced. To reach the semi-finals of Wimbledon twice and losing to Rod Laver and Lean Fraser is a great honor. And unfortunately, the new generation don't know about him. So in my book, I had sort of tried to portray something the youngsters should know and read about. Tennis has come tumbling down a long way. After us, there was Vijay Amritraj and Ramesh Krishnan, and finally came to Leander Paes and Somdev, etc. But I think the main reason is that there's no, like when we used to play, we had camps together, practice among ourselves, and South Club was really the nursery of Indian tennis, as Rahul will know, because that's where we produced 20 Davis Cup players, starting from Sumant Misra, Dilip Bose, Naresh Kumar, Premjit Lal, myself, Akhtar Ali, and many others, including Leander Paes. I think this, we don't have a proper system of tournaments in the circuit for the juniors. Like when we were playing the junior circuit, Rahul will remember also that we play in Bombay, we were put up in CCI, their meals were taken care of, and we just played. Then you go to the next tournament in Delhi, Gymkhana Club, you get hospitality and stay, good food. And now this advent of the small prize money for youngsters, or scholarship money, has caused this problem because they just come and stay in some places, and they're trying to save some money, and there's no proper nutrition. And there's abundance of talent. Talent is there. You can see all our youngsters, 12, 13, 14, they start playing well, they get to a certain level. And then what happens when you get to 15, 16? That's where you have to make the effort to the next step. That's where we lack. They don't know what to do. Parents are running around, and coaches, most of the coaches in urban cities are trying to tell parents, don't worry, aapka ladka ko Wimbledon champion bana dega. And they find it so easy. So it's tough. It's a lonely sport. It's very hard. It's not a team sport. You have to practice alone and work out alone. Like Premjit and myself, I remember we used to play hot summer day playing in Calcutta South Club, at least 4 or 5 hours a day, morning and evening. And then, I think also the youngsters now, they're just playing only one sport. They should all play other sports to get your other parts of the body fit. That's why you find most of the Europeans now the game is more European-centric. You find every European player, Nadal, Federer, Djokovic, they all play other sports like skiing or football. This helps other parts of the body. While you're playing only tennis and nothing else, I know these guys nowadays go to the gym, they work out in the gym. But that's also great, but I think working out and running the race course 4 times around Calcutta race course in this hot Sunday afternoon or any afternoon is really tough. And we have never lost, in our generation, we have never lost a match in Davis Cup or any other competition due to lack of fitness. We're all very physically very fit. Except Premjit used to get cramps. Ramanathan Krishnan was, like an animal. He could run the whole day. He was slow, but he made out his anticipation. And if he had a better serve, I think he would have been one of the greatest in the world. So that's my first answer to your question.
Okay, I'd also like to mention, which Jaidip mentioned, that at his time there was no money in the sport at all. They had to, they were given second or third class train tickets to go to places. And he was lucky enough, so was Premjit Lal, to get the ear of the Tatas and Hindustan Lever, I think Hindustan Lever or ACC, I think.
ACC.
Yeah, ACC and Tatas, he got the ear of them, and Tatas gave him a job, and Premjit Lal, ACC gave Premjit Lal a job in which they were allowed to play all the tennis tournaments they wanted, and they were on work and they got pretty decent salaries. So that was the only way that a sportsman, like a tennis player, could survive in those days and be at the top levels of the sport. Isn't that correct, Jaidip?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I want to elaborate further on that. I just want to say that how it happened. I was just in college, St. Davis, Calcutta, and we were playing a tournament in Bombay. And there was an official dinner at the Wellington Club, sit-down dinner. And I was about 22, I think, at the time. And I was sitting next to an elderly Parsi lady who happened, I didn't know who she was, but she was asking me questions. How's your tennis? What's going to happen? What are you going to do now? So I said, probably graduate and then get a job as a tea taster or tea planter. That was the circuit those days. Doing schools, St. Stephen's College and Calcutta. So I said, what will happen to your tennis? I said, let's take I had to step back on it. So she happened to be J.R.D. Tata's sister, and my mentor, late Leslie Sawhney's wife, was vice chairman of Tata Chemicals. So Mr. Sawhney and Dharamsingh Khatau got together and picked both of us, Premjit and myself. I went to Tata Steel and Premjit went to ACC. So, but when I went to Tata Steel, my boss was then the great Rusi Modi. But he was not too happy because I was not one of his boys. I was from Bombay, so he was more friendly with Naresh Kumar and all that.
Okay, now I'd also like to introduce Gopalakrishnan, who is a real management guru. I think his books are also available there in the bookshop, aren't they, Gopal? Yeah, so I hope the books are available. But he's been a very senior person in both Hindustan Lever and Tatas. And he's also a tennis player, morning tennis player, so I don't play with him that much because in Bombay gym, where we stay, Bombay, they've got morning players and evening players. So he's a morning player, so they play. But he's known Jaidip for quite a long time, so I'll give it over to Gopal now to
Thank you. All of you must be wondering what the hell is this guy doing in between these two champs. Actually, in 1956 or 57, I must have been 12 years old, 10 years old, my father took me to the Bengal Lawn Tennis Association, the South Club. And that's when I started playing tennis. And there were two seniors, actually three, as I remember, Jaidip, Premjit, and Kohli, one Mr. Paramjit Kohli. And our aspiration was to reach their standard while they were, of course, scaling new heights. So as Rahul said, I've also been playing tennis for a long time. It's my passion. And unlike Rahul, who at 81 still manages to win tournaments, I satisfy myself by playing tennis at the club. I thought this is a good occasion, Jaidip, to explore you as a human being and not just your tennis exploits, because tennis is the platform on which you have shone. And you may call me management, you may call him journalist, but at the end of the day, we are human beings.
Right.
You have written in your book two incidents when you got a spanking from your mother for very good reasons, and how Dilip Bose used to hammer you on the calf of your leg with a tennis racket. I have also suffered that under Dilip Bose, because I remember asking Dilip Bose in my squeaky voice, "Sir, you make us run around this court 5 times. By that time we come to pick up the tennis racket, we are tired." And he asked me a question. He said, "If you had only one car for your whole life, how would you look after it?" In those days, we didn't even dream of owning a car. And he then said, "You look after it very carefully." He said, "That's your human body. Don't neglect it." So I'm hitting you on the calf for that reason. Question for you. There is a balance in our raising of our families, in nurturing sport, any talent, between discipline on the one hand and love and esteem on the other. what are the lessons that you have learned during your very competitive career on how this balance is best achieved?
I think balance is best achieved basically a lot of help from the family. That's very important. My parents never put any pressure on me to do. They just left it to me what I wanted to do. Though my grandfather was involved, not in politics, I mean great-grandfather was in politics, Deshbandhu Chittarandan Das.
Great-grandfather was the famous Chittarandan Das, C.R. Das, one of the big names in West Bengal.
Yeah, so his wife, Basanti Devi, who was very involved when the Jallianwala Bagh incident happened, she was my, I saw her, I grew up with her, go with her to places and be with her. She was inspired me a lot. My mother was a very good mother at home, but she never interfered with my activities like sports or what studies. My father was a bit strict on studies, but all of them said they never thought that I'll be a tennis player. I was very keen on sports, and I thought I'll be a sportsman. And how I became a sportsman basically was because my grandfather was president of the Cricket Control Board, Jaidip Mukerjea, and all the visiting cricket teams used to come and have a dinner at a house in Christmas time. That was the time Calcutta had Christmas season like polo and cricket and tennis, everything. So I saw these guys coming in like stars, and so I thought to myself, one day I want to become like these guys, So that really inspired me to be a sportsman. I thought sports was the way out. And I could have been a pilot because a hero was Subroto Mukherjee, who's my father's first cousin, first Air Marshal. But sports was, they came to me, and thanks to Tatas and ACC, they took us in, and till now, I'm really grateful to them and really happy that happened. But it's a hard, lonely work for individual sports. You have to get up. Those days, there's no trainers, there's no one guiding you. You're traveling by third-class train. When you're traveling around the world, you're going economy. And even you can't bring rackets in from outside. We didn't have rackets here. You used to get them from London. When we used to come back after the European tour, after 4 or 5 months, we used to come back with, say, 8 or 9 rackets, wooden rackets those days. And the customs used to stop us. Say, why you don't need so many rackets? So we had to argue. And traveling with economy, you used to hide your bags. I remember Krish and me coming back from Barcelona once, checking in. So Krish checked in with 2 bags, the main bags, and I was hiding the rackets and the handbags. And they asked him, have you got a handbag? He said, yes. Which one? It's a very small one. Show me. He just lifted it with a small finger. Actually, it's pretty heavy, but you want to show it that it's not heavy. So that's how, and compared to now, another incident in the book is that compared to now is Rod Laver. Rod Laver, for me, is the greatest tennis player in my generation, ever, I feel. I saw him one day looking at the menu in Champs-Élysées in the French Open. So I asked him, as a Rocket, his nickname is Rocket, is what a person like you looking at the menu. He said, Jay, I'm looking where's the cheapest place to eat. Now you find, can you imagine Djokovic or Nadal looking at the menu outside? They have an entourage traveling with them.
You can buy the restaurant.
Yeah. So this is.
Jaidip, I want to ask you, if I may just, Rahul. You mentioned already the by now very famous, and Jaidip has a clip of it, of the the Davis Cup tie with Australia when you and Krish played that crucial doubles. I was once talking with Krish, and he told me his opinion, with which you may or may not agree, that Jaidip was an aggressive player. He would run to the net, unlike Naresh Kumar, who would sort of be happy to play from the back. And of course, I've seen that clip of 1966, the match. If you are an aggressive tennis player, how do you actually take the risks that you have to? Because in our world of business, journalism, public life, we also have to take risks. And very often people wonder, to put it bluntly, they wonder how to take the risk without any failure. That's not possible. So go ahead, tell us that.
I think I was an aggressive player because I think in life I'm aggressive. Basically, you have been born aggressive. I remember, it's in the book, in a very young age, we used to live in a house in the second floor veranda. I was balancing. From second floor, one side was the road, the garden, and one side was the veranda. So I was balancing with my two hands and going around from, say, 20 feet. And across the road, some of the neighbors rang up my mother those days in telephone and said, Mrs. Mukerjea, see what your son's doing. He's running on the thing once and he could fall. And my mother caught me that day on the back, and that was the second spanking she gave me. And that's all, by nature. And Krish said himself, I think Krishnan is the guru of tennis in our country. Forget Vijayamritraj and whoever next to him, but he's absolutely low-key. He doesn't know. But he said to me, Jay, I wish I had played longer doubles with you. And I said, why? He said, because I was 2 or 3 years younger than him, and I used to play more with Premjit Lal, and he's played with Naresh Kumar. So he told me that, he said, playing with you, that you attack and make me attack. When playing with Naresh Kumar was, come back, lob karo, lob karo, lob karo. So that was the difference. They did well. I'm not taking anything away from Naresh, God bless him. But he was a very defensive player, and he used to lob a lot. And I was very attacking. Every chance I took a lot of chances. The most important match, we all talk about this Australia match. The other match which we won to get to Australia was the doubles against Brazil in South Club. And the combination was Krishnan and Premjit Lal was nominated. So the first day we were one match all. Doubles was very, very crucial. So what Krish told Akhtar was the coach that decided, and Mr. Shamshed Singh from Punjab, he was the team captain those days. So he convinced that I want to play with Jaidip this match because he's an aggressive person. Premjit is better strokes, everything, but he was a bit match temperamentally, he was a bit suspect. So they changed in the last minute, and we won 6-4 in the fifth set. And that made us, Krish won the famous match after that. But the thing is, I still remember serving for the match. Those who have played tennis, they know. 2 sets all, 5-4, I'm serving. So Krish told me one thing, whatever you do, get your first serve in and charge the net. So what I did, I just have to get your first ball in and go to the net. And after we won, Krish is not very emotional. He's not, after he won, I never seen him hug someone. He hugged me around the corner. After he hugged me, he went away like that. But he was absolutely, his brain was to play aggressive with me. And the same thing happened in Australia. We beat Newcombe and Roach, who was the world's greatest team, won 4 Grand Slams that year. In fact, the whole year, apart from losing to us, they did not lose any match. They won every tournament. And the crowd was, there's one side there was Roy Emerson, Fred Stolley, John Newcombe, and Tony Roach. On the other side is Krishnan, Premjit Lal, and myself, and S.P. Misra. So, team with a taxi driver, we are going to practice in a cab. The Australian guy said, you guys are the Davis Cup team. So what do you think your chances? So Mr. R.K. Khanna, a holy, devoted person, well, let's leave it to God. God will help us. He said, hey, buddy, you don't need God to be these guys. God is God. So this was the few things.
So Jaidip, this is very interesting. Indians play world-class tennis, praying to God. I want to ask you a related question. All of us in our careers, it doesn't matter whether you're in sports or cinema or writing, authorship, or in business careers. If you become a celebrity, it puts a lot of pressure on you. It puts a lot of pressure on you. If you see what's happening to Emma Raducanu, if you see what happened to other tennis players who have suffered under the limelight, I have a sense of sympathy for them. It's easy to say that's their problem. But having occupied the place in the limelight yourself, though many years ago, how do you think people who are looking like they are successful should cope with the limelight? What did you learn?
I learned first to always be humble, whatever you do. Because I still remember, if you see read my book, it's very, read it. A lot of people told me you sort of underplayed yourself. But Krish, being a senior captain, he always say that never let anything go to your head. There's always one guy better than you, always in life, in anything you do. And work hard, play hard, and never dispute a line call, and things will fall your way. You know, like, one of the questions we discussed the other day was you asking that is Bhagavad Gita says that you have to just play, and the other thing is that try your best. We try, and both of us, all of us, and Indians, especially Indians, we never cheated a match. To win a match. That when you have internationally you have linesmen, etc., that's okay, you don't even call for a linesman. But while in the long run, it goes either way. So, as for line cheating goes in tennis, in professional tennis or in club tennis is hardly any, because even players take it. It happens in club tennis, handicap tournaments, and etc. When you lose a point, and I see that in pros, when they lose a match, they go back, and for them it's work, and next day the call can go the other way. But I learned, I think basically, where you're brought up. I think, like Rahul there, son of Khushwant Singh, like there's a humble guy. Today is someone else there being in his place or something. So he's learned from his family background how to conduct himself, and that has helped me in life. And especially with my great-grandmother Basanti Devi being a very big influence in my life.
Coming from such a prominent family with so many big names, Siddhartha Shankar Rai, your great-grandfather Chittaranjan Das, did you ever feel a little self-imposed pressure? Ki humko bhi kuch karke dikhana hai?
No, I didn't feel, and no, not pressure. As I said, no pressure on me. But there was no pressure on me even to join politics, because Siddhartha Shankar became Chief Minister of Bengal Congress. We always a Congress family. One is sitting there. But I never thought, it never even occurred to me to join politics. And that could have been very easy for me, because there was no one from Bengal after Siddhartha Shankar, and after he lost the elections, CPM came into power. Then this lady's come after this. But I think that I would concentrate on sports. I wanted to be a sportsman, and I tried my best to give my 100% and that was my line. Stay in that line.
Yeah, Siddharth Shankar Ray, who was the governor of Punjab when I was posted in Chandigarh as the editor of the Indian Express, and he's Jaidip's uncle, I think, no?
My mother's first cousin.
Your mother's first cousin. So I remember Jaidip came down to Chandigarh when I was there, and I think stayed with Siddharth Shankar Ray. And Siddharth Shankar Ray built a tennis court at Raj Bhavan, mainly for, he was very keen on playing tennis, mainly to play tennis, and of course for Jaidip when he came to play tennis. So that's just an aside. But I should mention here that I've played in the Kasauli tournament here, and one of the people who beat me is Anant Narayan, who's sitting right there in front of me. But all I can say in defense of myself was, I think he was about 25 years younger than me when he beat me. And I think he won the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. So he's also a very good tennis player there. But
I would also like to say one thing. As you said, other people, there's two gentlemen sitting here. Mr. Rajan Kashyap, former secretary of CLT, who has done so much for Chandigarh tennis and Punjab tennis, and Mr. Subhash Maria, Dr. Subhash Maria. We used to play together, and thank you for coming here today.
Yeah, Rajan, please come up here and take this mic. And Rajan is, I've known Rajan since those 1980 days, and he was also a very good tennis player. Come.
Well, thank you. This is an anecdote from real life, which shows how dangerous a journalist like Rahul can be. And I used to hero worship Jaidip, because in those days, nobody could have television and we couldn't go and see him, but we used to have those grainy, voices on the radio, and used to go to BBC at 13 meters or something. So in fact, I was in Chandigarh, and I had the honor of playing with Siddharth Shankar Ray. I had the greater honor of Siddharth Shankar Ray introducing me to Jaidip Mukerjea. And I said, in real life, I'm seeing him here. So, in fact, I was the president of the association. So we helped in setting up a court over there. Now the real story is the cunning wit which Rahul has inherited from his father. So the first time that we were to play, Subhash was also with me. Subhash was the secretary of the association. Said that, the governor, is going to have a game there. He called us every afternoon. And he said, he needs equipment. So we were told that he needs equipment. So, we got him the equipment. We were quite happy to give him that. But we were not prepared for the Indian Express story, which came out on Monday. And the story said that CLTA, which is the Tennis Association of Chandigarh, had great difficulty in finding an athletic supporter, a jockstrap, because Siddharth Shankar Ray was too good, too big for that.
A lovely story, yeah. Okay, now I'd like to ask a related question that Gopal had just asked about how the mental health aspect of these top players comes into play sometimes. And in particular, that Japanese player who was world's #1 for 2 or 3 years, I think Naomi Osaka, her name is?
Yeah, the
Japanese girl.
Yes.
Yeah, Japanese girl. And she's suddenly withdrawn because of mental issues. How important is that issue of, when you're right at the top, you have this mental problems? How was it there at your time also?
Not really, because there was not much of finance. Publicity was there in Wimbledon, whatever it is, but there's not enough sponsors, etc. So I think what happens, all of a sudden, this young girl who comes 18 or 17 or whatever they are, win a US Open title, and the whole country is there with sponsors there with you, and endorsements coming in. And you tend to sort of forget practicing and all that so much, all the hard work. You start changing coaches, you don't believe in all that sort of thing. That's me. What can the coach do? Coach can just advise you to do this and do that. We can't do it, don't change the coach. But now they change the coach because they're blaming the other guy. So I think this mental question is going to happen all the time in any young player. And in a little way also, this young Spanish boy, Alcaraz, is going through that.
He's going through that.
Yeah, because so much publicity. He's just beaten Wimbledon, beating Djokovic, he lost winning Masters. After Nadal, you're the greatest, etc., etc. I know that wherever you're going in the airport or seeing people, except like guys like Nadal and all that. Can you imagine after Nadal won the Australian Open last year, 22, he came back to. He lives in Mallorca. So he came back to Mallorca airport. There's a photograph of him. No spectators now, no crowd. He's carrying his own baggage, pulling his tree and going to his car. Can you ever heard this will happen in India to our top sportsman who's just won a big tournament or a thing in a World Cup? So he's got winning with Australian Open and a person like him. And I know them personally. I met them, I know them. But all three of them, the three like Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal, they're very simple, humble people. They'll just, the way at Federer, Federer's coach was my very close friend, Tony Roach. Gopal met him also. He's also a very simple guy. He's coach of Ivan Lendl and also himself a Grand Slam champion. So at walking at Wimbledon, he was walking to practice with Federer, and I happened to cross them. So he just stopped me and said, "Hey, Jay," I said, "have you met Roger?" So I said, "No." So Roger shook off his hand and said, "I heard about you." So I said, "You heard about an old man like me?" But he said, "No, Tony talks about his times and all that." So that's sort of, Roger follows the history of tennis. He's one of those few persons in tennis who's not a fly-by-night operator. He'll be there, like today he sponsors players, the Swiss tennis, standard of Switzerland tennis is going up. Because of him, he's getting the sponsors. Tennis is very expensive. To break the barrier to top 100 is very tough. You have to like Gopal will know with how he helped Leander, etc. You have to go alone, air ticket, coach's ticket, no prize money, very little prize money. So then once you break the top 100 barrier, then if you lose the first round of a tournament, say 30 weeks, you're getting $100,000 or something. Yeah. So,
Jaidip, if I may add, what I liked about your book is not only its simplicity. When I read biography, I try to not just read about what he did. There's a bit of that comes in biographies. But I try to separate his profession from the human being. And I think you have done that quite well. Whoever advised you, or maybe Charmin had a role in it, but Insaniyat must also come out along with the great game. And congratulations for your book.
Thank you. And yes, you're right. Charmin did that because during the pandemic, we had nothing else to do. She said, "Why don't you write something?" So I just started, and came on. But I never said, I also wanted to write because no one knew in our generation tennis about Krish, about Premjit. I remember Premjit Lal, he's from Bihar. Was from Bihar. So he won a great match in Delhi Gymkhana Club and he's coming back. And one guy from Chandigarh, he said, "Well played, Premjit Lal, played like a true Punjabi." So he said, "No, I'm not a Punjabi, I'm a Bihari." So I said, "Thank God Lalu Prasad's not there."
Okay, I'd also like to mention Rajan Kashyap is the former Chief Secretary of Haryana, has had a distinguished career as a Chief Secretary of Punjab, had a distinguished career as a civil servant. And he'll be talking for a few minutes about his book, which is, I think, is it out there? So he's written a book about his career as a he's written about, I've been reading it, about the human side of the civil service. So he'll be talking to us, I think on the 15th, is it? On Sunday, yeah. Okay, now, are there any questions from the audience? Because here, no. Yeah, Anand, please.
Great to be on stage.
Yeah, hi.
I just want to add that despite the age difference, he had all the girls from 6 to 60 cheering up for him. And yes, what happened after that? Again, thanks to Nilofer, who was the umpire, the idea of this Khushwant kslitfest came up then. So in tennis you may not make money, but you'll come out with great ideas.
Okay. If there are no questions, I'd like to ask you one, again related to tennis. How did the serve volley game, especially on grass courts, change to now the baseline game? Because in my days, it was serve volley. Pete Sampras was a great exponent of that. So was Roger Federer, great exponent of that. Of course, Roger Federer became equally good on the hard, not so much on the clay courts, but the hard courts, maybe not quite as good. But how did the serve volley game give in to the baseline game? Because I find the baseline game sometimes a little boring, because you have, even on the lawn courts, you have rallies of 15, 16 shots, while in those days it was 3 or 4 shots at the most.
You see, basically what used to happen, the ITF, International Tennis Federation, and Wimbledon authorities, they thought that the game is going too fast, like just serve and volley and points for small and spectator interest. They wanted to slow down the court. So now they slowed it down. It's become so slow That is, it's like, and the balls are new. The Slazenger balls at Wimbledon are very heavy. So, rackets are okay, but with the, when you play tennis a lot, and if you serve a slice on the grass courts on the forehand, it'll skid right. But at Wimbledon, for example, Nadal is standing 20 feet behind the baseline, and someone serves a slice. It comes up, the ball comes up, it doesn't go down. It's just the grass is completely different. They want to see more lorries. Today, when you see Wimbledon, in the old days, the front part where you volley from was bare, was bald, and the baseline was bare. Now, the baseline is bald, and the net is still a lot of grass there because they're staying from the back. And half the guys now, I'm not criticizing anyone, but they're not as good volleyers as in our generation today. So the game has completely changed, but I think it'll go back to faster courts because people, as you say, are getting very bored.
Yeah. Gopal, ask a question. Any question you want to ask? Yeah, please. Come.
Good afternoon, sir. I think I'm very young to ask you a question. But as you said, that simplicity is the key to success. So I just want to know that, have you inherited simplicity from your parents, this beautiful virtue, or by playing? How did you get into your system?
I think it runs in family genes, could we say that? Because my great-grandfather gave up everything for the Swaraj Party with me, Motilal Nehru, Chittaranjan Sardar. And my grandfather, Jaidip Mukerjea, was executive in Calcutta Corporation, ICS officer those days. But they never thought of, just money was not the criteria, fame was not the criteria. But so, as I said earlier, that they left me alone to do that. And I think simplicity comes from your family background helps
yes.
a lot.
And sometimes from success also. When you reach a point, you feel that I think being simple is the best.
You see, when you lose a point, you get angry, naturally.
Yes.
But what can you do about it? You lost a point or a bad call. You can't change it. I'll give you a very important, I just came to my mind. I was playing a guy called Ron Homburg, US number 4 or 5, in the third round of Wimbledon to get to last 16. And we have friends. So he's telling me when you go to the court, those days you couldn't sit down at Wimbledon. Players just play is continuous. Just have your Robinson's barley water, and that's it. Special drink, nothing. So before we get to the court, he said, Jay, we're going to play to the umpire. I said, sure, no worries. So in the very first game, I get a bad call. Well, this ball was right or something. So while changing across, he said, sorry, mate, we're playing to the umpire. Okay. So he gave two sets to 1 to me. The fourth set, 4-all, 30-40. He's serving that break point. He hit the volley, hit the chalk on the baseline. And the umpire, the linesman those days, the professor, he said, out. So he looked at me, I said, sorry, we are playing to the umpire. But then after he got to the dressing room, he cursed the hell out of me. I said, you said we were playing to the umpire. So that's why we can't change now. So everything falls down even.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, the lady there.
Yeah, I know. Social media, yes, you can be simple. I think if you have the quality to be simple, I think, as I said earlier, with Nadal, all these guys, you don't see them, but if you meet them one-to-one, I think India, the thing is we sycophancy a lot of things. People, I want a bodyguard coming there, I want to know. This happens. The Western culture is completely different. I think I remember, I think your father was telling me, but he was traveling once to Australia. And he was sitting next to a person in first class going to Australia. And finally, when he reached Sydney or Melbourne, he got to the airport and your dad was waiting for his car or taxi. So this guy comes in a car with a flag on. So he stopped, he said, can I give you a drop? He said no. He said, no, but why flag? He said, no, I didn't sell you, but I'm the labor minister of Australia.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Jaidip, a legend in tennis. And is this the first time you're coming to Kasauli?
First time.
First time, okay.
I've been to Simla before, but
Yeah, okay.
but I want to say one thing about Mr. Manishankar. I was here as a sports minister earlier on. But unless we continue, we have one tennis player coming up, one javelin thrower coming up. Today we won Asian Games, fantastic, 100 100 par ho gaya, theek hai. But there's no concrete system of coaching academies. Today, AIT has one system in Delhi. You can't control the whole country with one camp. You have to have north, south, east, west in tennis, all the sport. Badminton is doing it. But the All India tennis should have because it's a subcontinent. There's so much talent in the northeast. Football and tennis also.
Yeah. Mani, come. Mani was the sports minister, and he told me once, soon after he became sports minister, he said, I don't know anything about sports. I don't know why they've made me sports minister.
Recently, we have done rather well in a large number of sports. And based on their achievements, the Prime Minister has said we've become a sporting nation. And my biggest problem when I was the sports minister was that I said we are not here in order to concentrate entirely on nurturing proven talent, but in attempting to make India a sporting nation. And for that to be done, we have to take sports to the village panchayat level and ensure that whatever the quality of the sports being played, opportunities are given to our youth to be able to perform in whatever is available. And if we could use, as I tried to get the Nehru Yuva Kendra to use, their resources to bring in coaches who would be willing to serve at the village and the mohalla level, then I think we could have become a sporting nation. But our country has never understood that Australia is a sporting nation because everyone plays sports. And it's only a few of them who get into world prominence. We think we become a sporting nation by displaying the number of medals we get. So there's a completely wrong basis on which our being a sporting nation is being evaluated. And I think that completely confirms Mr. Prabhakar's analysis that our country is going to the dogs because we don't seem to understand the difference between the mass of the people and a few who are distinguished.
Absolutely.
So it seems to me that there's a much larger lesson for the country to learn from this one small fact that the sports ministry concerns itself with Olympic Games and Commonwealth Games and does not involve itself in bringing sports to the people of our country in their schools, in their mohallas, in their panchayats, and that's what needs to be done. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jaidip. Thank you, Gopal.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks for you, and thank you for once again inviting us here.
Okay, the lunch break is cut to 45 minutes. So we'll be assembling again at about 2:15, is it? Yeah, about 2:15 we'll be assembling here. Yeah. It's lovely to see all those school children. Which school are you from? Ghanol. Okay. That's actually one of the schools that the Khushwant Singh Foundation supports. So welcome the school children. Thank you. Good. Okay. Yeah. Come in the afternoon for the afternoon talks. Yeah.
Be careful.
Where are you staying here?
No, I'm in
Glenview. Glenview.